We are back with more NBA coverage, and in this one, I'll be talking about the Game 7 action to get things started with the Clippers and the Nuggets. Both teams were desperately wanting it. The fact that their cores are established in the respective ways that they are, naturally, both teams would want to make the most out of that by going on a run this season. You feel like the Clippers would be a little more desperate to do so since their core consists of much older players in Kawhi and James Harden. But it's all going to come down to how they approach this game. And I guess from the defensive standpoint earlier on, they had the right idea in mind. They continued to apply that pressure on Nikola Jokic as soon as he got the ball, as soon as he reached the middle of the court. The double teams remained. Zubac continued to play physical defense. There were elements of rim protection in place so that if he managed to get past Zubac, there was always somebody watching him down below. And it made it to where other players had to get involved for the Nuggets in order for them to win the game and take control of this series. And that's honestly exactly where they wanted things to go. You didn't necessarily want Nikola Jokic to dictate the outcome of this game from the scoring lens. Now, even with the Clippers having that kind of defensive approach to start out, the Nuggets made it easy. And the very first possession of the game made that clear. They just allowed Nikola Jokic to try and back down Ivica Zubac the whole time. And he had to settle for a three-point shot. A very low percentage three-point shot at that. And I'm like, where's the ball movement at? Everybody else was standing near the corner or standing on the elbows of the free throw line, just stationary for some reason. Naturally, they're going to adjust. They recognize that Jokic is going to be the one with the ball anyways. You don't at least try to disguise what you're doing. You just make it that predictable. Of course they're going to be able to adjust to that. Still, players were, for the Nuggets at least, doing a decent job of stepping up. The Clippers would end the first quarter off with a bit of an advantage though. But as the second quarter would go on, things changed very quickly. And the main struggle here came down to, one, a lack of three-point shooting. They were continuing to give up wide-open Chris Dunn threes. But, he had been overperforming from there in this series. But the problems from there just started to get even worse for that team. And then other players were just completely missing as well. When it came to scoring, James Harden, outside of maybe a bucket in this quarter, was truly a non-factor throughout the game. And when the Nuggets were trying to storm back in this thing, you needed some element of scoring to counter that. But it doesn't come from one of the biggest players on your team. As for the Nuggets, they were also able to do a great job of controlling the offensive glass during this quarter especially. There were multiple cases where they would miss a shot and then they have just free reign. I don't know why the Clippers just allowed so many free rebounders to just crash the glass like that. But they had the speed and dexterity to get proper tip-ins at the right moments as well. Just making this a prolonged issue that would really not cease until the end of the game. Nikola Jokic still wasn't really finding a lot of overall success, but you had a great second quarter from a combination of guys. They were getting it done by committee, whether it was Westbrook hitting threes, whether it was Christian Braun being a sort of double-double freak now, whether it was Aaron Gordon continuing to be the X factor that he is, and whether it was Jamal Murray just making some timely plays. All of a sudden, they were able to go up by 11 to end off the second quarter. Now, again, Harden in terms of facilitating was great. I mean, he had 10 assists in the first half, which was tied for the most in the first half of any Game 7 in the last 25 years. The last person to do so was Rajon Rondo. But still, that energy that he would need in an elimination game like this, he found it last game, and then for whatever reason just decided to take his foot off of the gas pedal. Like, the Clippers would need you at full strength and full effectiveness, and you just wither away somewhere. The Nuggets would sprint out on a run to open up the third quarter immediately. All it took was Michael Porter Jr. to get a couple of shots going for himself, and everything just went downhill for the Clippers from there. They couldn't buy a basket. They were turning the ball over, which had been a key determinant in the winner of the last few games in this series. And also, they could not get three-point shots. You have to credit the Nuggets defense for contesting a lot of them. But also, I don't know what it was. Everybody's just experienced some form of an off night. And without that lack of effort on defense to at least keep the Nuggets in distance so that you could at least take things over soon, that is not how things would go at all. They would go on what was an overall 41-16 run up to where DeAndre Jordan would get himself a damn dunk, leading to the margin being as high as 33 points, as the Nuggets were up 99-66. Like, in the past few games, the Nuggets would have these kinds of surges on offense, but you could guarantee that the Clippers, more often than not, had a response in their back pocket. And again, for a number of reasons, they just didn't want to commit themselves to making that kind of surge again. I don't know why that is. Because it's just, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're just letting your fans down at that point by just not showing any sort of urgency out there. I mean, for crying out loud, there was a report that Steve Ballmer bought a boatload of tickets specifically for Clippers fans to travel to the game. And this is what they're witnessing? That totally sucks. The Nuggets would just continue to keep the lead up to around 30, and then they would eventually decide to just throw in their bench because it was essentially over with by that point. Now, granted, the Clippers would throw their bench in too, and they would get a spirited effort somehow from Kobe Brown. Still, it was way too little and way too late, as the Nuggets would continue to hold on to a double-digit lead and win the game 120-101, clinching the series in what was mostly an exceptional series outside of maybe 2 ball games. It just sucks to see that something that both teams worked so hard for ends in that kind of fashion where one just gets completely obliterated. But hey, that's a testament to how the Nuggets were able to overcome this. Like, when you look at it, again, Nikola Jokic had 10 rebounds and 8 assists, but just 16 points on 6 of 14 shooting. He was in deep foul trouble, and yet you still lose by double digits in this way. Like, they did exactly what they were supposed to. Not to mention, like, at least, like, 4 of those points or so came in garbage time prior to them taking their starters out. So, like, they handled business in terms of accounting for him and truly slowing him down in the most part. But other guys were just on in this. Take Michael Porter Jr., for example, who had 15 points, 6 rebounds on 6 of 11 shooting. Aaron Gordon had 22 and 5 on 9 of 16 shooting. Christian Braun had 21, 5, and 4 without a single turnover on 8 of 15 shooting with 3 threes. Jamal Murray had 16 on 7 of 15 shooting with 5 rebounds and 2 assists. Julian Strother had 3 points. Peyton Watson had 9 off the bench. And Russell Westbrook had 16 points, 5 assists, 5 rebounds, and 5 steals. All on 5 of 9 shooting with 2 threes. All around play. Even with Jokic being the way that he is, this was a full-on team victory. Through and through. The fact that they were able to establish that kind of pace and just collectively seek out shooters in this particular game the way they did, it was impressive to watch unfold. And deservedly, they would clinch this in 7. As for the Clippers, it's every time with James Harden, man. He had been, as I stated, this is his 5th different team of which he's appearing in a game 7 with. And every single time, even when it comes to the playoffs overall, we get into cases like these, he just does not show. That's why it's hard for some people, at least, to regard him as a true great or like a true top shooting guard if they bring up like overall resume, because his playoff numbers are so drastically horrible compared to what he does in the regular season, and especially what he did in the regular season in his prime. For him in this game to just finish with 7 points is absurd, and only took 8 shots, made just 2 of them, and a single 3. That is pitiful for someone regarded to be a superstar. We have to be honest about that. Like, how are you going to proclaim yourself the system while also not making sure that the Nuggets truly respect you enough to dare you to do certain things? You just ended up playing right into their hands at that point. Like, even if you didn't necessarily do a lot of turning the ball over, your lack of aggressiveness when it came to trying to generate your own personal offense took away the chance of having to force them to account for you instead, potentially opening up a lane for Kawhi Leonard. It's just like a stark reminder of what he's always done. Kawhi Leonard did as best as he could with 22 points, 5 rebounds, and 2 assists on 6 of 13 shooting with 2 threes. Bogdanovic had 12 points. Most of that came in garbage time as well. Derrick Jones Jr. had 12 points as well. And then everybody else just struggled overall. Nicholas Batum couldn't hit 3-pointers like that. Chris Dunn didn't necessarily get the greatest of looks. Norman Powell had 9 points on 4 of 11 shooting with 0 threes and played 32 damn minutes as well. Like, just go up and down the list and you can see just how deep this really goes. It's horrible. One of the worst displays that you can have. So the Clippers have a lot of things to figure out. Apparently they mentioned that Harden has a $44.8 million player option next season. So that'll be a developing case. We'll have to see how everything looks there. Like, it's just, I don't know. If you have him doing these things in playoff time, you have to ask yourself if he, like, because I think that both the team and the player have to, like, opt into it for everything to make sense. Would it really be smart for either one of them to take that on and pay him that much money, like he's doing all of what he did in his Houston days? This is not the same James Harden. I think that game as well makes it very clear that his time is closer to the end than from where he started. Winning where he started, rather. So, yeah, we'll see about that. At the end of the day, though, both rosters brought a lot of playoff experience to the table. The team with better overall championship pedigree ended up getting the win in dominant fashion. Now, this Warriors-Rockets game had much different implications because, could you imagine if the Warriors, in any capacity, went through another blown 3-1 lead, and what that would do for the entire NBA discourse? At the same time, that could give a young surging team in the Rockets a chance to get ahead of schedule after increasing their win total from last season, and then being able to make this first round matchup in the first place by giving themselves a playoff berth against this team, then also being able to have that deficit and then play pretty great games in both 5 and 6 to rally back like that without having any playoff experience at all, being backed into a corner and just going down swinging like that is honestly ripe for a really good overall story. But in this one, it would come down to who would be able to extend that narrative and who's would come to a close as far as this season ends up going. So, to start things out in this game, people kept alluding to the idea of having Stephen Curry play off the ball, and let's just say that they employed that on pretty much the first possession they had, and then they just decided to do away with it. But still, they were able to get other things going very well, as right off the bat, Draymond got back-to-back three-pointers going once more, and then Brandon Podziemski was able to do the same thing, along with Buddy Hield getting himself involved with the very first bucket of his particular game. And let's just be honest, right then and there, even though the game will remain relatively tight, given how strong both of their defenses are, you could sense the urgency in the Warriors' play here. All over the place. Shooters were not getting too many easy looks overall. They were running a sort of zone themselves to where they could account for Schengen and Van Vliet at the same time. Naturally, in doing that, one of them is going to have the ball out of their hands at all times, and that will force other people to get involved. But the Warriors, more so through their overall technique and physicality rather than athleticism and speed, were able to exploit those opportunities to a T. And to the Rockets' credit as well, their defense ended up being pretty similar. Obviously, they're going to stay glued to Stephen Curry, limiting the amount of possessions that he could control and dictate was ideal to their success. And then whenever he was able to control the ball, being able to put enough pressure on him to make him uncomfortable and force easy turnovers was also important. That would happen a few times in this game, but not even remotely on the same plane that it did in their victories at all. And very quickly, they were going to be content with other players getting involved in scoring. So Draymond having 8 first quarter points prior to the halfway mark of the first quarter, you'd live with that. But absolutely no one could anticipate what Buddy Hield was going to have on display. And it would start later on in the first quarter as Stephen Curry would eventually get the ball on a possession and throw a beautiful behind the back, over the head pass as Buddy Hield smartly leaks behind Stephen Curry, gets right in place, fires up a 3-point shot, and makes it. Then, as the Warriors continue to play just laser tight defense in the interior and force a Schengen miss and then a Jabari Smith Jr. miss, they get out on a fast break opportunity with around 9 seconds or so left. Buddy Hield gets it and he sprints up to the logo, damn near half court, chucks up a 3 and bangs it in for the buzzer beater to end off the first quarter. And the second quarter would truly see more of the same as the Rockets continued to struggle in terms of their own offensive game plan, with Van Vliet not necessarily being able to find space as well, because he had so many damn three-pointers over the past 3 games that in a way the Warriors, decided to start treating him like he was Stephen Curry in a way. Not necessarily double teaming, but getting physical with him off the ball, making it harder for him to get to the spots which he wanted to get to. And that threw off his game completely. That was a struggle overall. Offensive rebounding as well. Again, they didn't have an astronomical advantage there. Steven Adams, in the minutes that he was playing, was getting limited to some extent on the offensive glass. In any way you could just force him out of the way, potentially, to secure rebounds, make him a little less of a dominant factor in that particular aspect of the game, that helped the Warriors so much. Also, Buddy Hield still couldn't miss, because in the second quarter, he would go off for 14 points and just get 3 after 3 in a variety of ways. Some of them were catch and shoot. Some of them were step backs. He got Dylan Brooks good on one of those as well. I think, pretty much this one. He sidesteps him and Dylan Brooks fucking stumbles over to the left side. And he just cashes it in. He was a force to be reckoned with in this one. And then Stephen Curry, just to fuck around, gets a high ball screen near half court, and right at the logo, he shoots it with a Steven Adams contest and gets what would be his very first bucket of the game. First 3 points. Again, he had gotten a few times off of different screens and things, but nothing was falling for him at that point. Still, even without that, they would get themselves a 12-point lead. If they could just maintain it, you would think that they would actually have a chance to finish this off. This was an 18-8 run to end off the half. They were in prime position to make some things happen. And not to mention as well, even with the Rockets' attempts to try to get late buckets, they had great overall defense from individual players as well. We knew that obviously Draymond and Jimmy Butler III would be the primary suspects, even Moses Moody in some cases. And, Brandon Pajemski offers a lot too, but he was doing a little bit of everything as well. He was putting his body on the line for drawing charges. Schengen got into foul trouble easily because he was able to just bait him into being reckless at that point. He got a good block on Van Vliet to end off the half as well. Buddy Hield was even getting down and dirty on defense, though, which was really surprising to me. He had a couple of blocks in this game. For a person that isn't particularly known for his defense. That was impressive to me. Now, Buddy Hield wouldn't necessarily have a lot of scoring in this third quarter, but other people were able to pick up the slack as Jimmy Butler III would continue to make his overall presence felt in more ways than one. And then defensively, they were just able to get multiple fast break opportunities. I mean, Brandon Pajemski even damn near got me amped up. Man gets a driving dunk over fucking Alperen Sengun. Like, at that point, it was looking rough for the Rockets a little bit. But they would, with the help of Amen Thompson, who honestly, later on in the third quarter, he would get banged up a little bit. But I ain't gonna lie, Amen Thompson was incredible in this game overall for them. Obviously, Alperen Sengun felt that he needed to put it all on his shoulders. And with Draymond Green guarding him especially, he did not have the greatest shooting performance overall. He still had good totals, but it wasn't as efficient as you would like him to be. Jalen Green wasn't doing shit. Tari Eason was a non-factor as well outside of one shot because he got scared off of the three-point line with people actually being there to contest those shots down the stretch. Jabari Smith Jr. was still solid for them, but it still wasn't enough. So really, it was just Alperen Sengun and Amen Thompson this entire time. And he's literally just a mismatch. I mean, he can barrel down in the paint and do pretty much anything you would want to see a wing player do down low. But he's so athletic as well, sometimes for his own good. I mean, in one play later on, I think, he gets up for an offensive rebound and then jumps so damn high to where he's out of bounds. It got Jimmy Butler III good a few times. I guess for whatever reason he wasn't anticipating just how athletic he was, and it got him some easy buckets. And his point guard capability was on full display as well. Like, bro, there was a sequence that I had missed live, but, bro, it was so sick to see this man. Yeah, I think this happened in the first half. Bro, he crosses up Jimmy Butler III, has him crawling on the ground. He does an in and out move as he's driving on Brandon Pajemski, and he's trying to grab his feet or whatever as he falls down to the ground, and he gets in a clean fucking layup, bro. It was so sick to watch. Like, that shit, oh man. But I mean, hey, still, even with that, Brandon Pajemski would still make his own lane here, getting a nice fadeaway jumper over Alperen Sengun. And again, that is something that he can offer whenever he's not necessarily settling for just set three-point shots. Which honestly, as you know, he's still a very young player. As he continues to play in the league and, you know, we see how he does next season, it would be great to see him try and, you know, like, generate more, like, self-created offense. He definitely has the capability to do so. We've seen it time and again, especially down the stretch. I mean, a lot of that, again, has been realized since Jimmy Butler III has been there. But even last season, when he was playing so damn well consistently, you saw flashes of this. If he can truly tap into that and be effective at it, that is truly a scary sight for so many other people. Stephen Curry to the Rockets' demise. He would become very much involved between the third and fourth quarter. The Rockets, they continue to swing and throw punches at every turn. They would try to bring it within, two possessions at multiple points. But the Warriors, though it may have looked at a few times like they were just not letting up at all on either side of the ball. And, I mean, No single sequence in this game represents that much better than what would happen pretty much as soon as this became a clutch game. It was an 8-point ball game with 4 minutes and 44 seconds left to go. The Rockets could have certainly made a run from there. But as soon as that happens, you get Jimmy Butler III generating his own offense, getting a clean turnaround fadeaway jumper over Jalen Green for 2. You get back-to-back dagger three-pointers from Stephen Curry and Buddy Hield hitting the damn night-night celebration with the lead increasing to 20 on a 12-0 run. And just like that, though the Rockets would string together a few buckets, at that point the Warriors were willing to just give that up. They had done every single thing they needed to do. Buddy Hield, for the hell of it, would also get 5 more just free points, though I guess Fred VanVleet, for whatever reason, he just wanted to be salty on the last one. He pushed him down after shooting it, and then he would also just bang in a 3. At that point, I was like, just keep Stephen Curry in so he can get the last laugh over this salty-ass dude. But Kerr did not do that. Just put in the bench unit, and the Rockets still decided to play their starters because, of course, they did. In either case, the Warriors will win 103-89, closing out the series in 7 in Houston. As tough as it was, they steadied the course. They stayed the course, rather, and got the job done in dominant fashion. Kicked it into high gear when they needed to. That's all that matters. You know, I'll start out with the stats. Obviously, Buddy Hield. For that man, I mean, he had been playing well off the bench in the series. But for him in his last start to not record a single point, going from that to having 33 points in this ball game on 12 of 15 shooting with 9 threes on 11 attempts. 81 shooting splits. For a man that struggled mightily over the course of the season to have true consistency outside of the first 15 ball games when they started off 12-3. And at the right moment, he found something. And it just continued to work from there. He would have the tied record for the most three-pointers in Game 7 history, along with Dante DiVincenzo, who set that last season as a part of the Knicks. It was just a great overall showing for him, through and through. As for Stephen Curry, though he did have a 3-point first half, he would finish with a great all-around game. 22 points, 10 rebounds, 7 assists, a damn near triple-double, and then 2 steals and blocks on the defensive end. Getting physical as well. On one of the steals, he just straight up ripped the ball away from Fred VanVleet after VanVleet essentially did the same shit earlier on in the game. So you like to see that all the time. Jimmy Butler III would have 20 points, 8 rebounds, and 7 assists on 7 of 13 shooting with 2 threes. Draymond would have 16 points, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists on 7 of 15 shooting with 2 threes as well. Podziemski, though it wasn't the greatest overall shooting night from an efficiency standpoint, yeah, a well-rounded game for him too. 9 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, and just a lot of different high-energy plays that will not be reflected by the box score. And that's all Warriors fans were asking for at that point, was a sense of true urgency and effort. They more than gave that here. As for the Rockets, VanVleet had 17, 7, 3, and 2 on a down shooting night, 6 of 13, despite still hitting 3 threes. Alperen Sengun, again, not the best in terms of efficiency, just 9 of 23, But he did have 21 points, 14 rebounds, and 5 assists. He did try. You got to credit him with that. Amen Thompson, as I mentioned, 24 points, 9 rebounds, and 3 assists on 9 of 16 shooting. Everything else was just up in the air. I mean, bro, Dylan Brooks, 8 points. Yeah, fluky ass shit. That damn 24-point ball game he had, that shit was not real. He didn't shoot the best. You know, Tari Eason, not any sort of open shots for him. And I guess I'm not going to get into it fully. But, you know, I guess his mother wanted to, like, defend him on social media and things like that. And just talk to Draymond or whatever. I don't really know. Steven Adams, 7 rebounds, yeah. But again, they were not necessarily impactful as much as you would expect. Yes, the advantage was clear when you look at the stat sheet. At the same time, with the Warriors being able to generate outside shooting the way that they did, and with the Rockets continuing to struggle in terms of converting a lot of those opportunities in the first place, that just didn't end up mattering all that much. Jabari Smith Jr. as well, just 3 points. Yikes. But Jalen Green is the main culprit I want to focus in on here. Because in an elimination game, yes, he's young, but so is Schengen. This is his first playoff run. So is Amen Thompson. He's a rookie. Well, second-year player. This is his first postseason run. And you see what they did, even if it took them a little bit of a struggle to do so. Jalen Green is in the same boat, and yet he decides to put up just 8 points and 4 rebounds. Like, I simply do not care what anyone has to say about it. Bro, he is honestly, outside of all the, like, you know, I guess, intricacies in the game plan that made the difference in this series for the Warriors and forced the Rockets to lose, one of the main reasons, if not the main reason, why they lost this series overall. All you are asking for, if you are a Rockets fan, is for him to do something, anything, to supplement the contributions that guys like Schengen and Thompson had been giving you consistently. And in earlier games, everyone stepped up to bat. For crying out loud, Steven Adams even had a 17-point ball game in the last one. And he had been a consistent homewrecker in this series, despite not even playing that much. Like, you mean to tell me in a series largely weighted by the 38-point ball game that you had, and by the fact that you made 8 of 18 threes in that one as well, like, you go from being one of the leading scorers, if not, I think it was the leading scorer on this team, on somewhat efficient shooting, a little above league average, respectable. How do you drop from 21 points to just 13.3? And again, would be way lower if you don't even account for the 38-point ball game. 13.3 points per game, 37.2% from the field, and 29.5% from 3. Like, that's not great. And again, even looking beyond the numbers, outside of at least a few games there, the effort was not on full display. Udoka would keep him out there for a little bit because he would show flashes of it, but that was not consistent as well. And it's like, at that point, you should be able to offer them some kind of intensity on the defensive side if you're going to be that terrible offensively for them. Like, I kid you not, dude. It's like, I mean, dude, it's just nah, bro. Like, it's unacceptable for a person who could be one of the future faces of that franchise. But again, the Rockets are a team that could continue to be on the rise, but they're gonna have to have some interesting discussions here because something's got to give. I mean, even Schengen at that point is not necessarily a typical scorer just yet. Like, Fred VanVleet is also going to be an interesting case. I think they said he had a massive player option as well. So, again, they're just going to have to sit down and ask themselves if he is really worth it. Oh, I mean, he played great down the stretch. And he is the only true point guard that they have, which may honestly force them to keep him. But at the same time, if he's not necessarily content with that all the way and he asks for a little more, a number of different things could happen. I mean, hey, again, if they would need to do so, this draft is pretty fucking steep. So, they something could go their way here. They're just gonna have to figure out what exactly is the best move for them ultimately. I mean, there's definitely potential with this team. Don't get me wrong. And again, you have to give them props. You have to. They took a team, bruh, in this current state of the NBA, there is no single core with more championship experience and pedigree than this Warriors squad and the duo now of just Draymond and Steph. Doesn't get much more established than that when it comes to playoff basketball. And they took them to the wire. They took them all the way. After not finding any success over the past half decade. It's, that's not something to, just have your head down about, They should walk away from this series, as I did say for the Pistons, with a sense of pride. They're a young team getting themselves in a spot like that. And they didn't just barely stay alive compared to the Pistons. They dominated them. They made them second guess themselves completely in this one. But ultimately, that effort was still not enough. That'll do it for all the game action. As far as a couple of developments go here, it would be detailed that Will Hardy, the Utah Jazz head coach, would sign an extension with the team, and it just makes too much sense. It makes sense. I do think Will Hardy eventually be a good coach for the team. And he's been a very young coach. Still, I think the youngest in the league right now. Although, you know what? How old is Mitch Johnson? I can just check this on the fly. Feels like Mitch Johnson could be a little younger. But obviously, he wasn't the full-time head coach just yet. Oh, Mitch Johnson is 39. Oh. Or he will be 39. Okay. Well, yeah, Will Hardy is fairly young. And when you look at the situation he's in, the Jazz roster is just not all that good right now. I mean, he has yet to play with a squad that is truly something to respect outside of just a few players. Everything else has been just a revolving door of mediocrity and inconsistency. And I don't care what type of head coach you are, you can't really do anything with that. yes, there is something to be said about the fact that his record with the squad has decreased in every season. At the same time, again, the team has just continued to get worse. They keep taking steps back. But if they can play their cards right with some of the pieces that they have in place, they could be on the path for a great future. So, yeah, I believe that it is smart to just keep Will Hardy around. Like, the potential is still very high with him. In a lot of these losses as well, a good portion of them have been tough. They haven't all been to where he's just getting his ass kicked and he's just making horrible decisions left and right. No, he's doing the best that he can, despite all of these factors just stacking up against him constantly. As for the Coach of the Year award, while there were great candidates all around, they would eventually give the award to none other than Kenny Atkinson of the Cavs after finishing with the best record in the Eastern Conference, being one of the most accomplished being one of the most accomplished head coaches in their first season with a new team as well. I suppose, though, I don't have a problem with it because the Cavs were so great. But I guess, my thing would just be that Coach of the Year doesn't necessarily always need to go to team with the best record. I mean, the Cavs were great last season without Kenny Atkinson being there. They were just a little more improved. J.B. Bickerstaff was another name up there, and honestly, I would have been very fine with seeing him get it. Like, there would not have been a problem with that at all in my mind. And then they also had Ime Udoka up there for the third place finish, which is also fair. But, hey, definitely not in a position, to vote on these things. So, there's nothing I can do about that. But that will do it for this one. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.